So in this lecture, I want to take a deeper dive into the pop theme. And it's not because I want to teach you everything about the pop theme, not at all, okay? What I want to do is just show you what's possible with themes, because once you've seen one, to a certain extent you've seen them all. Now, having said that, themes each one is different. It depends on how they were designed and what they were designed for. But you will see that it's basically the same principles every time. Maybe I can make an analogy with cars. Cars are very, very different, but it's exactly the same principles in terms of how we drive them and how they work and what goes wrong with them, etc. But each one is different and has its own, peculiarities, if you like. And it's the same thing with themes, yeah? So once I've shown you the pop theme, you can pretty much go to any theme. You'll see that it's different, but you'll have the confidence to basically build out the theme as you want. So let's dive into the pop theme by simply clicking on the Customize button. Now, as I showed you before, you get this left-hand menu here, and you also get this right-hand preview pane as we change things. And you're always going to see similar stuff on this thing. There's always the ability to change the logo and menu. There'll be probably some sort of slideshow that we can change in terms of the images that we have on our site. There'll be somewhere where we can talk about your brand, add a featured collection, stuff like this. And if there isn't, there'll always be an easy way to add it in. Now, one example of something that is available here with the pop theme that you may or may not see with other themes is this announcement bar, right? This announcement bar that pops up at the top here, announce something here, it says, isn't always available with all themes. I might want to write something in here like free shopping on, free shipping on all orders over $50 or something. I could write anything, right? Closing down sale, coming soon, whatever it might be. Now, just because you don't see that in your theme doesn't mean you can't add stuff in later on with apps. I haven't talked about apps, but apps can do other stuff. They can enhance various things that you can do with your store. So don't necessarily freak out just because the theme you've chosen hasn't got an announcement bar. You might not even want it. I could just simply take off show announcement, right? And bang, it's gone. So I don't have to have it. It's all highly customizable. Now, I can add sections as well. So if we come down here, add section, and here, look, all these sections I can add, which is typical of any theme. I could add blogs, I could add collections, I can play around with images, products, I could put a newsletter promotion on there, a map, yeah? I mean, pretty much anything you can think of can be added and played around with a theme. Now let's go over now to the general settings, okay? So in this particular theme, we've got sections and we've got general settings, which is also very, very common. So in this, I can change the colors of things, right? Currently, the background is white. I might want to change it to red. Personally, I think a white background is definitely the way to go. It stands out very, very nicely, but you can play around with this if you want to here. The typography, however you pronounce it, but the fonts that I want to use, I might want to change that. Favicon, if you're not aware of what a favicon is, if you look up here, if you can see this, up in the top left-hand corner here, you see the Shopify little logo on my tab. That's a favicon. So you can create a favicon for your store and upload it at this point by simply coming in here and selecting your image. We can play around with things on the cart page and the checkout. So there's an absolute ton of stuff that you can do just pointing and clicking. Now, just to make you aware, this more actions thing here, if I come into this isn't always the same. As I say, there's these underlying principles for every theme, but it's not always the same. But I do just want to show you something, and I don't want you to freak out, okay? But if I come into here to edit code, I'll leave. I don't want to keep the changes. Now this stuff here, okay, let me just click on this. Just for example, I just want to show you something, okay? Don't freak. So basically, there's a language underlying this whole theme. It's called Liquid. Okay, it's a particular Shopify language, but it's based on other languages as well. It's actually based on a language called Ruby. But anyway, you don't need to know any of that. But the only reason why I'm showing you this is because on your way to becoming a Shopify expert, somebody might talk about Liquid, right? And Liquid is just the underlying language that drives the theme, right? It's designed for theme design. So if you're going to go and create your own theme, for example, you would write it in Liquid. Anyway, I repeat myself, you don't need to know this, but I wanted you to know about it, all right? You don't need to know this programming language to be a Shopify expert, all right? And in many ways that begs the question, what is a Shopify expert? Well, for me, a Shopify expert is somebody who can produce a fantastic looking site, to the customer's requirements or to your own requirements. And to do that, you do not need to program, all right? You do not need to program. You can use themes and you can use apps and you can produce something incredible. Now, if you wanted to become a Shopify developer, somebody who's actually developing stuff for Shopify, then sure, you're going to have to get into the whole code. But this Becoming a Shopify Expert course is far more about creating an incredible looking store with very little technical knowledge, but using design skills, understanding the customer requirements and producing something that ultimately at the end of the day is going to convert leads into sales, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, so if I just come back out of this and go back to the theme, then I hope that's if you like a brief dive into the whole pop theme. Now, what I'd really encourage you to do at this point is to just go and get several themes. Yeah, use free themes for the moment. Don't commit to anything. You're not ready for that. But take themes, go through 3-4 of them, yeah, and just install them in the way that I've shown you. It's super easy. And then go through the menus. Go through the menus, see what you can do. You can always undo stuff. You can always, not accept the changes, whatever it is. You're not going to commit to anything. But once you've done that, you're going to realize how simple it is to use themes to build out fantastic looking stores.